This administration is shameful. Y'all are a disgrace.
We're watching the fall of this administration.
What I think is interesting about this case, this story, is you can be highly legal and
charges ranging from misusing public funds to hiding financial records. Her arrest marks the end of a lavish and fraudulent reign where she lived like royalty while Dalton suffered. Instead of helping her community, she drained public funds for her personal luxury, leaving the town bankrupt and in crisis. For months, there were whispers of financial misconduct, but Henyard dismissed them. However, the FBI had been watching closely. After gathering evidence, they raided her office and personal properties, exposing the truth. Some of the most shocking revelations include spending $7,700 at Target, Walgreens, and Wayfair on personal items with taxpayer money, wasting $122,000 on luxury travel, depleting Dalton's funds, a $561,000 driveway project, draining resources that could have helped the town, hiring personal glam squads for hair and makeup at taxpayers' expense. While Henyard enjoyed an extravagant lifestyle, Dalton's economy crumbled, and residents were left struggling. One of the biggest turning points was Henyard's ridiculous spending on a single event. She hosted a lavish party that cost $555,000, featuring performances from Whale and Jay Holiday. The expenses included $30,000 for Whale's 30-minute set, $20,000 for Jay Holiday's performance, $36,000 on sound systems, comedians, and decorations, $6,600 on bouncy houses. Tiffany Henyard, once a self-proclaimed supermayor of Dalton, has been arrested following a large-scale FBI raid that uncovered her deep corruption, abuse of power, and reckless spending. At one time, she was seen as a promising leader, but now she faces 22 federal charges ranging from misusing public funds to hiding financial records. Her arrest marks the end of a lavish and fraudulent reign where she lived like royalty while Dalton suffered. Instead of helping her community, she drained public funds for her personal luxury, leaving the town bankrupt and in crisis. For months, there were whispers of financial misconduct, but Henyard dismissed them. However, the FBI had been watching closely. After gathering evidence, they raided her office and personal properties, exposing the truth. Some of the most shocking revelations include spending $7,700 at Target, Walgreens, and Wayfair on personal items with taxpayer money, wasting $122,000 on luxury travel, depleting Dalton's funds, a $561,000 driveway project, draining resources that could have helped the town, hiring personal glam squads for hair and makeup at taxpayers' expense. While Henyard enjoyed an extravagant lifestyle, Dalton's economy crumbled, and residents were left struggling. One of the biggest turning points was Henyard's ridiculous spending on a single event. She hosted a lavish party that cost $555,000, featuring performances from Whale and Jay Holiday. The expenses included $30,000 for Whale's 30-minute set, $20,000 for Jay Holiday's performance, $36,000 on sound systems, comedians, and decorations, $6,600 on bouncy houses. She maintained her innocence, particularly when responding to accusations that she was anti-black or anti-female. Despite growing scrutiny, the mayor has tried to deflect criticism, including from residents questioning her controversial Las Vegas trip. Reports suggest that Henyard used public funds for a lavish trip to Las Vegas, including expenses for airfare, accommodations, and dining. She has repeatedly avoided providing clear answers about the trip, instead offering vague justifications, such as referencing secret screw-ups that she has not elaborated on. The Board of Trustees, however, is not letting these issues slide. They vowed to override Henyard's veto of a resolution meant to hold her accountable. Trustee Kiana Beller took a notable stance at the meeting by displaying her portrait, which she claimed had been removed from Village Hall. Beller accused Henyard of using delays and obfuscation to cover up the truth, remarking, "It's obvious to everyone what's happening under her leadership." Despite these growing concerns, Henyard has continued to impose increasingly restrictive measures at village meetings, such as pushing media members to the back of the room and limiting public comment. However, residents have not been silenced. At the meeting, citizens made their frustrations known loud and clear, demanding that Henyard step down as mayor and take responsibility for the financial mess she has caused. One attendee spoke directly to Henyard, saying, "You lie to us as residents. You do not stand for me, and I want you to step down as mayor today and save our village from this deficit you have caused." Many other residents echoed these sentiments, arguing that Henyard had refused to take accountability for her actions and had shifted blame onto others, even while failing to address her own mistakes. Criticism also grew over her media appearances, which many saw as attempts to create drama rather than focusing on the village's needs. Henyard's appearances on television only seemed to erode public trust further, with many feeling she was deflecting rather than addressing real issues. When directly questioned about the Las Vegas trip, Henyard denied handling the credit card charges in question. However, some expenses, including dining and accommodations, have raised eyebrows. The ongoing investigation into these allegations and the mayor's handling of the city's finances has left residents feeling betrayed and disillusioned. In recent weeks, the situation in Dalton has only grown more tense. The village board has continued to push for accountability, refusing to let Henyard's administration avoid responsibility for the financial crisis. Meanwhile, Henyard, though under immense pressure, has remained defiant, clinging to power despite the growing calls for her resignation. The controversy surrounding Henyard's leadership has divided the community. Some residents still support the mayor, believing her explanations, while others have become increasingly frustrated with her failure to take responsibility. The outcome of the ongoing investigation into the village's finances and the allegations of corruption will likely determine the future of Henyard's time in office. As the situation develops, the residents of Dalton are left wondering if their village will be able to recover from the financial chaos under Henyard's leadership. With mounting pressure from the community and the ongoing investigation into her actions, the mayor's political future remains uncertain. Despite repeated requests for an interview, Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard has not responded. Earlier today, I attempted to track her down in person, but employees at the village confirmed that while many were aware of the worsening situation, they did not anticipate things would spiral out of control as they did under former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, leaving millions in debt. In the weeks leading up to this, Henyard reportedly promised to ensure that the banks in Dalton and Thornton Township would be drained before leaving office. However, since news broke of an FBI investigation into her, citizens have demanded her resignation. Yet Henyard has remained in office. Her career has been clouded by long-standing allegations of corruption and favoritism. Several months later, in what some are calling a form of retaliation against former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, both of Dalton's bars were raided and shut down. The raids took place last night, just one day after we had visited both establishments as part of an ongoing investigation into political corruption in Dalton. According to witnesses, Dalton police officers arrived in full force, surrounding Pablo's Bar and Cafe and Rinky Bar and Cafe. The two businesses are situated only a block apart from each other. One customer recalled they just rushed in here, put police at the front like it was a drug house or something. Despite the heavy police presence, everything was calm beforehand. Customers were told to leave or face arrest, and both businesses had their licenses stripped by the Village of Dalton. Business owners and employees claim the raids are part of a broader ongoing campaign of harassment led by Mayor Tiffany Henyard. They argue that her actions are financially devastating to the community, costing jobs and revenue. Henyard's office has consistently undermined efforts to hold her accountable, notably attempting to discredit the FBI's investigation into her alleged corruption with dismissive and degrading remarks. However, Henyard's attempts to downplay the significance of the investigation were met with a firm, unified response from the Dalton Board of Trustees. The board quickly voted against her stance, reinforcing their commitment to upholding ethical standards and ensuring transparency. This decisive action demonstrated the board's resolve to prioritize accountability, integrity, and the community's trust over Henyard's attempts to trivialize the investigation. Their rejection of her efforts made it clear that the village would not tolerate leaders who undermine accountability or avoid scrutiny. The trustees made it known that they would act in the best interests of the public,